Okay, meeting of the Community Preservation Committee for Wednesday, August 23rd is called to order at 6:31 with members, myself, Gina Gasconi, Chair, Carlton Hunt, Vice Chair, Jeff Merriman, Harry Bailey, Maureen Menasian, and Patrick Driscoll for members. Okay, Chair's announcements. I just have a couple of quick ones. I know I've said before, if people don't subscribe to the State Coalition newsletter, that I highly recommend it. They send out updates newsletter like once a month, but the one they sent out last week was very informative. It had how to do procurements, how to bid, just a lot of stuff and what should be included, how to organize committee, that I think I meant to forward to everybody in case you don't get it. I was away and probably never forwarded it. But I will forward it out, and I suggest looking at that, and as I've said, to subscribe to the newsletter. The other thing, the McKelvey School is done for the most part, if not completely. And that is, they're having an open house, a grand opening, ribbon cutting, whatever they're calling it, September 21st. I'm not sure the time. Do you know the time of that?
It's late morning, noonish, but if you haven't.
Or 11 a.m. I got it right here, 11 a.m. I'm sorry. And I cut you off on that. And they requested the final payment, but we'll get to that. Those are the only comments I have as of right now, but you know me, I think of things as we go along too. Okay, public comments. I don't think we have any public here other than Emily. The next thing, it's actually further down under old business. It should be up at the top to reorganize. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of us here. We're missing 2 members, so we can not reorganize tonight, where legally the committees are set up to that they have to reorganize the first meeting after July 1st, which we're actually in our second. We can do it tonight. We do have 2 members missing. If we hold off till next month, I won't be here, which will be my first CPC meeting I've missed in like 5 or 6 years. But so if we don't do, if we
Why
do it,
don't we just hold off till everybody's here at a meeting?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm not going to be here next meeting either.
okay, so we can hold off till October.
That's fine.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we have Emily Williams here for, you got the eligibility form. I was thinking if somebody wants to move that out of order so she's not listening to our whole, I mean, Emily, you're free to listen to the whole meeting. But if the committee wants to take it out of order, that's fine too.
I move to take it out of order.
Second.
Okay, was that Harry? Oops, I picked up a pen that doesn't write. Hold on. Okay, Carlton and Harry. Okay, discussion? If not, roll call. We have Gina, yes. Carlton?
Yes.
Maureen? Maureen, you're muted.
Yeah, I got stuck.
That's okay. Okay, Pat,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, good. You received in the packet Emily's eligibility form for the community gardens, and I think the rest of the title is outdoor activity center. Emily, would you like to tell us more on that?
Hi, everyone. I would love to tell you about this. There is a PowerPoint that we have to kind of keep things organized. Would you like me to go through that? It's about 4 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Do you need to be made a co-host to show that?
Can
Oh,
you see
there-
that?
Yep, I guess
There it
not.
is.
We got it.
Okay, great. So this is our, it's a mini presentation to give a background on accessibility and open space and some recreational projects on the campus of the senior center and pickleball courts. So we have obviously some goals. And those include, which I'm happy to say, the first one has been met, to execute a comprehensive master plan. Basically, we wanted to look at this entire campus. You can see that in the picture of what are the community needs of all ages on this land. And we want to include everyone because it's, well, it makes it inclusive, but it's also including everyone's abilities as well. So we now have a master plan. Thank you, CPC, for funding that. We hired Melissa Desjardins, the landscape architect, and over the past 8 months, she executed 3 community meetings and involved our community stakeholders to get them involved in what this land should look like, who it should attract, and the result is the rest of this PowerPoint presentation. So that has been completed, but it also is the whole project, the whole campus really connects the community to one another. So other goals included in this are to increase the use of outdoor space on the senior center campus and really creates a destination for users of all times all year long. We also wanted to provide learning opportunities, intergenerational programming for all ages, encourage physical activity for people of all ages, improve site accessibility and equity for people of all ages. We want to help seniors get out and stay social. And the last piece, my screen, okay, is to open new sources of support, which could involve new community stakeholders as well as others in the town of Bridgewater. So we created with the landscape architect 3 phases to execute this plan. So the first one could be done very easily this fall, and that's the primary reason for me being here tonight, is to request funding for the community gardens and patio. But I wanted to include everything that's going on the campus just so there's transparency and so folks can understand the whole entire process of what's going on around here, which is kind of nice because there's a lot of people very interested and curious about what this area will look like in the future. We have a generator coming on board this fall. We have some landscape work coming through this fall. The second phase of this project would be to include public walkways and senior fitness equipment. And I'll go into details into all this in a minute. But also there's the trails behind the senior center. We're looking for accessible switchback trailhead, hiking trails at the woodlands and the stream, which really creates another connectivity to the Mitchell School. We also are looking to reconfigure and recirculate the traffic flow in the area by reconfiguring the parking lot. We're looking to fund bocce courts, a putting green, shuffleboard, and in the future, expand the building and add an additional greenhouse. The benefits, I can share this with you, Gina, as well, so you can distribute it amongst the group. But
Okay, great.
everyone is aging, basically. That's the fundamental bottom line. Everyone is aging. In the next 10 years, 7 years, the town of Bridgewater will have almost 25% of their residents over the age of 60. And that's staying within the trends across the Commonwealth. Folks are aging, folks are aging well, but they're looking for outdoor activities, services, and supports. And that's the primary reason for requesting funding for the community gardens, accessible trailhead, and walking paths. What Melissa did was extraordinary. She did a complete site analysis of our campus. So you can see this sketching includes different slopes where the wetlands, ponds, streams are located. Also, there's certain areas that we can't touch, and those are color coded as indicated in the graph in the picture. Areas less difficult to develop are the areas that we're focusing on, like the yellow area behind the senior center, kind of right here on the medium pitched grade. That's the forested area that we'd hope to make accessible for walking. So if someone were in a wheelchair, cane, walker, they could have access to this really neat little patch of land. In the green areas, those are the areas that have gentle slopes. In the purple areas, those are the recreation area places like the playground, pickleball courts, etc. And then the gray area, which is pavement. So the first phase of this project is to connect us to nature through the community garden. And the community garden, we have a wonderful space right in between the pickleball courts and the senior center building. And what we hope to do, and I'll show you the image in a moment of what it would look like, but we really want to create a sense of place and community for all of the Bridgewater residents of all ages, all abilities. We want to support economic development, improve individual and community overall health. We really want to advance equity and inclusion by making a place for folks of all ages, all abilities to go to and to feel included and not feel like they're not a part of their own community. And then overall, we really want to make have a sense of community resilience. It really makes people feel more connected to their town, their area, and especially the older adult population here in town that are already traveling to the senior center for various reasons, but this makes them even more resilient because they'll be a part of the entire community garden area. This is what it looks like. You can kind of see the outside here. There's 16 raised garden beds, new plantings of trees and shrubs. The new generator will kind of be right here, so that fits in quite nicely with the schematic overall plan and the scope of the service that we're looking to incorporate. It adds fresh loam. It creates gardens that are for all degrees of disability. Excuse me, I spit my lip. So if someone were to be in a wheelchair, or even if they have trouble bending over to do some gardening that they may have enjoyed for many, many years, this creates a garden where they can come and have a little plot and possibly educate our town's youth and really get them involved. We could grow vegetables, fruits, herbs. We'd have a sensory garden where there'd be lavender, lemon verbena, all kinds of things to enhance the senses. All of the costs were a part of the master plan that Melissa created. We would also have places on our vicinity where people can sit and play a game of chess, cards, have a meal together. The plan includes 2 outdoor grills, which all of this would be maintained by the senior center. It includes outdoor lighting, cafe lighting, really attractive tree lighting to enhance what we're bringing. So even if it's at dusk, people can come and enjoy one another's company. We received a grant last month from the AARP Community Challenge Grant. And this small grant of $2,500 will be used to purchase 3 of the 16 garden beds. but that's just seed money. We're really looking to have the CPC fund the entire project. Benches, tables, chairs, the whole thing.
Emily, can I just ask what, on your list on the side, what is a bird cafe? Am I
Thank you for
missing
asking.
something there?
No, that I asked the same question. It's an A-frame arbor that it creates a structure where birds can eat. It's a cafe for birds. It was suggested because it's entertaining, it's light, it's friendly, it's fun, and it's something a little different that the children as well as the older adults can enjoy together. But you plant something underneath and then it grows up and it creates a cafe, literally, for the birds.
Thank you.
And this is what it looks like. It's really attractive and it's completely it's a dream that could really come true. You can see the pathways where someone in a wheelchair, someone who's completely independent with their activities of daily living can walk, over to one area, sit down with their loved one, caregiver, husband, wife, family member, and just be outside to enjoy nature. She created a really nice plan. The second phase, which we're submitting to capital, is to do some senior center landscaping. The second phase of all of this, which will the next fiscal year request outdoor recreational accessible trail systems. So right on the bottom left-hand corner of this photo, you can see the senior center and then the parking, and then it looks like an amphitheater. But what we're really looking at is creating an accessible trailhead. So anyone of any ability can access the trails just behind the senior center. And I'm working with Jim Small from the rec department. And we spoke to a gentleman named Ed Gianni, who's principal of Wheeler Horticulture, and he's willing to clear the area so we can start with a fresh slate at no cost, which is really, it's unbelievable. But for the winter of 2024, what we'll be doing is applying for a Mass Trails grant to create an accessible walking path in the trails. The CPC request we're looking at is to construct a switchback, which is a shared use entryway to the trail using the amphitheater. And we're getting, I'm actually meeting with someone tomorrow to determine a solid cost and feasibility study on that. The rest of the presentation is about the parking lot in the back of the building, which will be a capital expense, but it contributes to this overall project. So that's why I included it in this. And then you can see in this master plan that Melissa created a walking path. It's kind of highlighted in yellow throughout the perimeter of the pickleball court area, as well as the senior center area, creating a campus. It connects the two areas together. And then, as I mentioned before, it really creates a destination for everyone to enjoy, whether they're in a wheelchair, a walker, a cane, or independent, and walking around. And the last part, I did not go into detail. We're looking at more of a fiscal year 26-27 for the building expansion greenhouse. But the timeline, the immediate timeline is included in this. We're installing the generator. We're looking for funding to build the raised garden beds and community garden area. We'll be redesigning our landscape, looking for accessible trailheads, walking paths, and you can kind of read over the rest, but that's the immediate need the community and myself determined for the future of the senior center. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Good presentation. And that was some crew that you had a picture of walking through the trails. That was
Quite a crew.
that's some crew. Any questions for Emily? Comments?
I have,
I have a couple myself, but I'll hold off till everybody speaks. Maureen?
okay, just a quick question. Have you any idea how long the trails would be for the hiking trails back there?
That is a great question. I believe it's 6/10 or 4/10 of a mile.
Oh, okay, very short.
It's short,
They're,
yes,
they're all going to be, handicap accessible?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
ADA compliant.
Yep.
Emily, the trails on the top of the hill also?
Oh,
Handicap
that's just
accessible?
the
Yeah,
trails.
all the way around.
All
Yeah,
the way
perimeter.
around, I can get that for you. That's much larger. I can get the size of the walking paths.
Okay.
So this Carlton, this is only an eligibility discussion. What's eligible? The
Mhm.
details that you're providing would be required in an application. And it's important to know the information, but I'm a little confused. The thing that you sent us only talks about the gardening part of it, not the trailhead, not the trails. Is that a separate application that you're going to ask for? What exactly are you asking
Yes.
for?
There's two separate applications.
So what are you asking in terms of an eligibility determination?
For this first part, the community gardens and patio.
And so that's all, the $115,000 you estimated, that's the cost for the community garden?
112.5, yes.
Well, it's 115,000 and you've got a grant, so we'll stick with 115 for the total project. Can you, if the committee determines that it is eligible, then the application is going to have to provide an awful lot of detail about why it costs so much.
Emily, on one of her screens, Carlton, she had the breakdown of price to get up to that 115,000. And I
Well,
understand it
it
would
was
need
too
to be on
small.
the application.
It was too small to see, and also
Okay.
the PowerPoint needs to be attached to the minutes of the next meeting.
Correct.
Anything that's presented has to be, should be provided in the minutes.
Correct. My thoughts, the community garden part could be eligible. I looked through the coalition website, all the towns in the Commonwealth, and I think it goes back like 10 or 12 years for community gardens and patios. Most of the community gardens that I found were either to buy land for it or buy the raised beds and supplies to go with it. I didn't find a lot for the pavers, extras like that, the lighting. My thought is there's parts of that are eligible and there's parts that won't be. I don't believe grills are eligible. So there are things that would have to come, other funding. So my pavers, and I'm not sure, my first thought was that CPC wouldn't fund that, but Carlton, Pat, you probably know more about this. When Music Alley was built, was that, I know CPC gave money for that. Was it towards the benches? Do we know what it was towards?
I personally do not, because I wasn't a member then.
Okay. And I'm not sure. I know we gave the money. We can look into that if we set a precedent with it.
So to move this forward, I'd like to hear from other people in terms of the eligibility only.
Okay, let's see. Maureen?
Sorry, I was just stretching, but I do
That's okay.
question the price also, but I'm not I've only been on this for a short time, so I'm not sure exactly what's eligible and what isn't. So I will listen to people who've been on here longer.
Okay. Let's see, Pat, I'm just going at the order. I'm looking at pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, if it was gonna be eligible, I think it wouldn't be under open space or historic, it'd probably be under recreation, correct?
Right, open space recreation.
Well, it would be under recreation, correct?
Right.
Yes,
I think they're joined together, open space and recreation, as far as the funding.
Well, we're not creating any open space, we already own it, correct?
Correct. So it's a recreation part of the open space recreation bucket.
Right, but if
But
we're
you're
looking,
right, yeah,
but
correct.
if we're looking at buckets though, right?
Right, correct,
We're looking at recreation or a recreation through unrestricted, correct?
correct.
So I mean, I think for the purposes of this, till we get more information, it would be eligible if it's creating outdoor recreation for seniors, right?
Mhm.
And then
Right.
I mean, I think the minor items like the grill and things like that, they'll work themselves out as we go through the application process and get more information, correct?
Correct.
So I mean, I would agree with Carlton at this point. We just determine whether it's eligible or not. We can work through the details. So I would say, if you guys think it qualifies under recreation, then it's eligible, right?
Right,
All right.
right. That's my thought too, is once we get, if we deem this eligible tonight, once we get the application, we can always pull things out that wouldn't be eligible, but we'd have all that detail. Let's see, Harry, your thoughts? Harry? Okay, no Harry. We'll move on to Jeff.
I think Patrick summed it up nicely. I'm of like mind with the rest of you. Just see if it's eligible and work it out from there.
Okay,
I'll add one more point. As Gina said, if you go up to, and I suggest, Emily, you do this also, go to this Community Preservation Coalition website. They track all projects that have been funded by all towns in Massachusetts. I'm sorry, my finger's waving here, I'm stopping. Go there and look at what other towns have provided in terms of community gardens. Because right now, community gardens are gardens for growing plants, okay? So I'm not sure if pavers, et cetera, like Music Alley, that $5,000 you gave went towards the whole project. There was no specification that, if I remember right, because the university gave money, CPC gave money, that kind of thing. And it was only 5,000, I believe. So look at the details of what other communities have funded, because that's important in your application. I concur with the sense that community gardens, in quotes, are eligible for CPA funds under the recreation rubric or characterization. Also, I want to comment here, in terms of shrubs and planting, talk and meet with the tree committee in town, because they have recommendations of money that the town has received for trees, removal of trees. They've got something on the order of $25,000, $30,000 for tree plantings. So one of the things where you can work with them, because this may be a really good project area for tree planting that they could fund. So that's just another element of revenue funding for that. And I'll stop there, because I think, actually, I'll move to state the community gardens are eligible for CPA money. That's a motion.
okay, Carlton, just to clarify that, are you saying just the community gardens of the whole project? I think her eligibility was was entitled, Community Gardens and Activity Center, activity something area. Are you saying the whole eligibility is potentially eligible?
I'm not sure of that. That's why I'm saying community garden.
Okay. Okay,
Now, community garden, if community gardens in the overall plan come forward and there's lots of things integrated into the community garden concept, that's something we can decide down the road. But I'm not going to say the project's eligible. I'm going to say community gardens are eligible.
I'll second that.
okay. So- Hold on. 1 second while I just make notes here. I know it's recorded, but I like my notes too. So the community gardens are eligible. Okay, discussion? Oh. Hearing none, roll call. Myself, Gina, yes.
Yeah, wait a minute, Maureen, you had your hand up, Maureen.
No, I was just going to, restate what you said is I think a great idea is to go into the tree committee and see if we can use some of the funding in there. Last I knew it wasn't all claimed, so it would be a great way to, share the money throughout the town.
If that was a great idea. Thank you, Maureen and Carlton for
Carlton,
that.
Carlton.
Okay, just as part of I guess we already closed discussion, scratch that. Roll call, myself, Gina, yes. Carlton,
Yes,
Maureen,
Yes,
Pat,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes,
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, very good. One last thing that I would add, I mentioned before and Carlton reiterated, to look at the coalition site. You can do a search. I put in community gardens. And it just brings up everything. I think I went through every town that had that. I think I got up to the W's and get tired and stopped, but there were quite a few. So I recommend that too. And there is a search button there for it. Okay, good. Thank you, Emily, so much. And you'll send me along that presentation. Okay, and you're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting too, if you'd like. We're not kicking you off.
also send the PowerPoint in a PDF form to Josh so he can include it in the minutes when he writes them up.
Right, good, thank you. Okay, do we need a motion to go back to order while we took that out of order? I don't think so.
You do
Okay.
not. You do not. You go back to the
Okay,
regular
I didn't-
order.
Okay, didn't think so. Approval of minutes. Josh sent out the June and the July minutes. So we can maybe approve the June, or if you have any changes. Okay, if no changes, motion to approve.
Motion to approve June 24th, 2023 minutes as submitted.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Maureen too. Discussion? Roll call. Actually, I don't have them printed here to see who wasn't here. Let me just jump back to those. Hold on. I'm sorry. I should have printed them out to see who was actually here. Okay. Okay, in June. I guess everybody is here.
everybody, no.
Yep, everybody was here. Okay, roll call to accept myself, Gina, yes. Carlton,
Yes,
Maureen,
Yes,
Pat,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. July 26 minutes. Let me just look, see who wasn't here in July.
I wasn't.
Okay,
July
You weren't-
26th July 26th says Bill Smith and Stacy were absent.
Yeah, but I
Okay,
wasn't
Maureen.
there either.
okay, so we have to change that Maureen. Okay, we have to change that Maureen was absent.
Motion to amend the minutes of July 26th to move Maureen Manasian to the members absent list.
Okay, and to approve the minutes otherwise.
And to approve the minutes otherwise, yeah.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Thank you, Harry. Okay. Committee vote, Gina, myself, yes. Carlton,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
and Harry.
Yes.
Right. Okay, that was done. Review of financial reports. Josh sent out yesterday. They got left, the July one got left off of the packet when it was originally sent out, but then Laurie Garini sent out a final FY23 report too, so that they both went out yesterday. If you look at, actually, do we need to have them pulled up so you can see it on the screen?
up to the committee.
Does the committee want to see it on the screen or just listen to me for a second? Okay, guess we'll just listen to me. The June 30th, the end of the fiscal year 23, there is 20,000. Hold on, let me make sure I'm saying that. I'm sorry. We carried over $20,372, and those were for the 3 encumbrances that we had. For PAL, for the deed restriction for the Congregational Church, signage and nameplates, and the Hanson Farm appraisal. So you can see that on that report, plus you can see that it's on the next one, the July 31st. We've actually got some tax money in already, which is good. It's just liens and penalties. And if you look at that one, it reflects on all the projects that are still open. And plus the balance sheet, which is still unofficial until everything is finalized for the budget. You can see the new balances with what we put into voting for our budget added to what was already there. So right now we have, it shows 4 million, but 23 of that is encumbered into
And
to projects.
actually, what we have available is $1,659,724. That's what's unappropriated at this point.
Right, and committed. Thank you.
And it depends on how you use the reserves. So that's a bit of it. I will also point out that in the July 31st update, the amount of budgeted amount is the amount of money remaining in all those accounts that carried over. It's not the original amount, but it's the amount that's remaining as of June 30th. So that confused me for a while because I was looking for the $82,000 for the townhouse roof project, and it shows that it's only 38,000 and change.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
so this is just what's available this year to spend out.
Thank you for pointing that out. It took me a while looking at these reports throughout the years to realize that's what it was. So we have a couple that we can maybe close out. Okay, so that's, any questions on the financial reports? If you haven't had a chance to look at them, when you do, if you have questions on them, feel free to write to Carlton or myself for answers. And I guess it goes along with the financial reports. Laurie Garini, who was the finance manager in the past and has been a liaison, is now the acting director of finance since Tony Salmonte left. So kudos to Laurie. She does a great job. And I'm sure she'll do a great job in her new position. Okay. We're holding off on reorg. Project updates. I don't know if you had a chance. Josh sent out this afternoon, but it didn't come out till like after 3. An update from the town manager. I actually just saw it shortly before we came on to the meeting, but I'll just go down the list here and try to jump onto the town manager's list. And I suggest, and I know you all will, if you haven't had a chance to read that, just to read it. Okay, active projects, the Congregational Church, as you know from the last meeting, we decided to hold off because the church membership, our board of directors was having a meeting to see how they wanted to proceed. So that's kind of on hold right now. We also, in the meeting that Carlton and I had with the town manager, our monthly meeting yesterday, we brought up, could the town attorney finish the deed restriction? And Mr. Dutton seemed to think that that would be feasible. So that's something for us to keep in the back of our mind too. Styles and Hart improvements. Looking at what Michael sent out today, the ad hoc committee reviewed the plans with the parks engineer, Pat Brennan, the outside engineer. He's passed it through, discussed wetland crossings and trail construction. Passed it by the ad hoc group that was happy with it. Now it will go to Parks and Rec for review. I'm just trying to hit, instead of reading verbatim everything he's written, I'm just trying to pull highlights for it. Hemlock Drive windows and doors replacement, we're just looking into the finalization of the grant agreement. Old State Farm trails. The survey work continues to be tweaked. They needed to make some adjustments. Trail Works has completed the grant submission to the Park Service to begin parts of the construction. So that's moving along pretty well.
Just so people know, Gina, just so people know, the trail out at the complex started to go across a number of wetlands. And so they're trying to redirect the trail because that's required in terms of the restrictions and deed stuff. So that all has to be done before it goes. And I will add that the town manager indicated he does not believe anybody will be coming back for more CPA funds for that project.
Right, thank
He
you.
doesn't believe that.
Right, there's still a balance of 4,000. No, I'm sorry, I'm on the
Oh,
wrong line.
4,400.
4,400. He doesn't think that will be spent. But again, he wasn't sure because of the tweaking and the needing to move the trails that it may cut into that 4,400. So that's still pending. If there's anything as I'm saying it, that anybody has any comments or whatever, feel free to jump right in. The Parthenon freeze,
I can update you there.
yeah, I was just gonna ask you to do that.
See the screen? They're done. They've
Oh,
been done.
right.
And this is one of the three I'm going to show you. And what I've been told is the restoring company tried to make it not look modernly coated. They tried to make it look like it's been around a while. And this is one of the freezes. I think this was the really badly damaged one. It may be this one may be the damaged one. But there's the three out of this, I think it's 6 or 7 freezes are basically ready to be shipped down to the town. There's coordination going on between the restoration company and the transportation company, and the transportation company will do the installation. And actually, the update that the town manager provided on this was a little misleading. Actually, the town clerk, who's the back person putting this together, has met with the town. She's got the data on all of the installation areas. That's all been completed, how thick the wallboard are, the depth, etc. And the major thing that's left right now is one, they have to decide which freeze go in what areas. And then the other thing is, when they do the installation at the inside of the entrance to the Academy building, as you go through the inner door, if you go in, you see the opening in the floor and the railings. Up above that is an open area, and the freezes would go into that area. Because of that, they have to probably do the installation on the weekend. Otherwise, access to a couple of the town offices would be limited over time. But my personal understanding is that we hopefully would have the freeze installation be completed within the next month. That's just a wag on my part, but we're really close.
Great, thank you. I think they look awesome. I think it was a great project.
Yeah, I think they did an amazing job, especially if one of these was broken up. There were huge holes. It was cracked up in this area. So they've done quite a nice job.
Good. And I commend the town clerk for taking on that project too. Great project. I just think they're awesome, and I can't wait to see them actually hung. McElwain School is done. The last payment was made to them. It was 135,000 for the playground area, and that has been made, I think, within the last month or so. We're just waiting for a final report. The report that they sent along was probably 150 pages at least. So we've asked for a short summary, a few pages of what our portion of the money was actually spent on, and a breakdown for that. Once we get that project's done and off our books. The taking of the Broad Street properties. Okay, the town, according to Michael's update this afternoon, the town applied for the land grant funding to offset the total cost for the friendly eminent domain. If we get the grant, it will offset the cost by 66%. The property can't be transferred until we receive word if we've been selected for the grant, in probably November, December, January timeframe.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things going on in the legal side that it shouldn't impact taking, but it could impact the final closing.
Mhm. Okay. Hanson's Farm, I don't know why that got. Okay, he has it listed there, you have it under waiting for the application. Hanson's Farm Wildlands Trust, which this is good news. They've indicated they would be interested in jointly holding the conservation agricultural restriction. Co-holding it would be also the Conservation Commission would be the other holder of it. The town's also looking at, they were going to put in for a land grant, but there's also the MVP grant, which is also a state grant, and it's municipal something program. Somebody help me what the V stands for. Because I can't
I
remember.
believe it says I can't say it, vulnerability.
Okay,
Vulnerability.
that's right. And I had a hard time saying that yesterday too.
And what he
Okay.
said was that yesterday that Middleborough is in the process of acquiring a similar project, and they got this MVP money, and it could be significant money. So the town manager is pursuing those avenues in terms of potential reimbursement money.
Mhm.
And-
It's,
And Gina and Carlton, you guys cut out, but you know, I can you hear me now or no?
yep, we can.
And I started to hear you talk about it. Did you talk about the valuation that he put on it at the bottom at all?
Nope, haven't
Well,
got to that. Yeah.
I just that comment that he made without having data is I don't even think we should discuss it because you can't value a property without knowing what the other property is like. Hanson's
Right,
Farm,
I agree, Pat, and I was
Yeah.
going to leave off adding
Yeah.
that to the discussion, because I think
Yeah.
that's just his
Yeah, I mean,
surmising.
Hanson's Farm has a tremendous amount of wetlands too. You know what I mean? So you have to compare apples to apples. Are you comparing an all wetland, an all upland site to an all upland site? Are you comparing that, so
Right.
I think
Pat, I don't know how that money got in there. But it is
I just think it's
interesting
dangerous.
thought.
I just think it's dangerous when we start throwing numbers around.
Right.
Mhm. And I think
concur.
it's misleading.
I concur. And what the town manager is doing, what I don't think is in there, he plans to go to the town's appraisal sometime early fall and get that moving. So that project will have motion in the next month or two and and the appraisal of what he said would not be done until probably around Christmas time. So that's
I
the
think
process.
an appraisal is what we need to be able to evaluate apples to apples. You know what I mean?
And
Right.
that's what will happen.
Mhm. I was surprised when I saw that too, Pat, that, because I
Well,
hadn't heard,
I just sent them an email for some data on that to see
good,
because you could buy a 100-acre site somewhere and it has 60 acres of wetland and there's 40 developable. You know what I mean? You can't apply that same math to a site that's 40 acres of all upland, of 100 acres of all upland. That's you have to look at the site. Acres don't always mean value, and that's what's real.
right,
Just to add to that, Pat, this is my analysis. I think roughly 25% is of the Hanson Farms is wetlands. That will come out in the appraisal.
right. There were, if I remember right, there are quite a bit, as you guys are saying, quite a bit of wetlands.
Yeah, I've actually looked at it and it's about 25% of the total project.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Pat.
Yes, thank you. As I said, I was surprised when I saw that too. the difference between the land grant and the MVP grant is the land grant will contribute 66%, or 500,000, whichever is less. But the MVP grant requires just a 25% match. And it will go up to $5 million. So they're looking at the two of them. And they're looking to start, as Carlton said, the appraisal process in September, but the final report won't be till the winter. Okay, mobile station. Okay, for some reason that got left off the agenda.
Didn't
The
we just
town-
talk about the mobile station?
No. That's right, when we talked about the Broad Street properties, that's why when you said that's a couple things going.
No, that the mobile station's where it's got some legal issues, yeah.
Right. The deed's been all set. They're putting it in for the park designation. They just need to make payment. And that's where, as Carlton said, there's a couple legal things for that. So just to back up and correct, when he said, when we talked about the Broad Street properties, there are legal issues. There are no legal issues with the Broad Street property. That's just
Correct.
in process for the taking. Okay. Project updates for completed projects. Pickleball courts, we're just waiting for, still waiting for the final report. Jim Small is working on it. He's Josh and the town manager have requested that he do that too. Michael did send us the final report for the memorial building, plus a maintenance plan, this afternoon. I think, did that have money left in it?
The memorial building does not have money left in it.
Okay,
And I looked at the report very quickly and they have no pictures of what we paid for. So that
Okay.
report is not final because they need to include images there or reference the PowerPoint that I put together and I thought we put on the website, but that's an incomplete report as far as I'm concerned.
right, and I think some of the things, Carlton, and this is where I rely on the rest of you for this. I looked at the breakdown of costs that we paid for. And there's a couple I question. It said they were paid to the town of Bridgewater, but I don't know what we paid to the town of Bridgewater, and it wasn't under the permit section. So I think we need to look at that again too, before we vote to finish that project.
And by the way, town manager, we asked the question, do we need to vote to close out a project that has $0 left in the budget? And his indication was no, they automatically close. But if there's money to be moved somewhere, we have to vote to close them.
Right, thank you. Carlton, do you know where? I'm looking at the two financials that went out, the end of fiscal 23, the July 31st one for fiscal 24. I was looking for like how much of that. I know there's no money left because we gave just however much they had asked. It was
The
for
memorial
the
building,
second
for the
part.
memorial building?
Right, that was, we wouldn't see that on our financials. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, they just took that money, didn't make a separate project for it, they just transferred it into a big fund for,
Right, there was a cost overrun. Not a cost overrun, there were change orders that came in that we worked with the town manager to make sure that anything we paid was relevant, connected to what the CPC originally recommended an appropriation. That was all done. They were asking for over 100,000 from us. We worked it out and said several things were not quite right. He reworked the numbers, and so it came up to be 95,000. The town, so whatever we had to do, we did, and then the town council voted to finalize that. So I don't think it comes out. It came out of our budgets, but it didn't come out as a specific project. So that project is over.
Right, okay. Thank you. What I was pointing out was we wouldn't see that listed as a project anywhere, because the money was just transferred.
Well, I disagree with that. It should have been listed as a project that had, I don't know if it was this fiscal year that we voted the money or not, but it should have been in there to show that there was an additional $95,000 that was,
And
spent.
I agree, and I think our original amount that we gave before the overages, I think that should have been listed as a account for CPC too, instead of just transferring the money into a big pot for the project.
So we can talk to them about Lori
Yeah.
about it.
Okay, for the Summer Street project, they have, yeah, that's the next thing. The Summer Street project, somebody has looked at, I can't remember who Michael had said, has looked at the building, and it's a stable building. Obviously needs a lot of work, but it's a stable and safe building. What they do with it is still up in the air. There's different thoughts on that.
But he has applied for a grant, Parks grant. They will be making it hopefully an official park that it needs to be in order to get that Parks grant money that'll offset the costs and anything future. The baseline survey of boundaries and topography have been completed. Basically, because there's some desire to have the mobile station park area and the Roy T. Little Park area that Bridgewater Improvement Association owns, to have those work together somehow. So they did a baseline map, and that was done by Melissa Desjardins. And it's available now. She just submitted it to BIA a week ago or so. And so that base map is done, and it shows all the current status, the buildings, the sewer line that goes through there, that kind of thing. So the next step there is to actually, for the town to figure out what they're going to do with it. And that committee is still meeting. That ad hoc committee is still meeting.
And once it's looking back at the update that the town manager sent us this afternoon, Melissa's completing her report, for a presentation. It's going to the ad hoc committee. Once that's set, there'll be a public input session and then a presentation to the Parks and Rec Commission. The anticipated timeline for completion of our property master plan is next May 2024. And grants to the state, as Carlton said, they're applying for a grant are up to 500,000. So hopefully we get a grant. Okay, let's see. We talked about Hanson's Farm. That's actually been twice, once to show we're still waiting for the application. The other is under administrative account update. But we talked about the appraisal. We also, these are three things that we had encumbered from, that we voted to come out of fiscal 23 money. Recognition plaques and signage for CPA funded projects.
I can update on that since I'm
Yep.
sort
Go
of
right
running it.
ahead.
We ordered 6 small plaques to go into the library cases down in the basement, and I need to get a 7th one. Those have been done. I'm not sure if they've been installed. I gave yesterday to town manager a letter and a list of the town facilities, properties that should be receiving a plaque, and I haven't gotten far enough yet to get to the non-town awardees in the past. But that's moving forward, but it'll be moved slowly.
Good, thank you. The next thing is the PAL for the church deed restriction, and we kind of mentioned that before under our project itself. Applications received, the only one we have is Congregational Church phases 2 and 3, and that's still on hold pending the outcome of phase 1. Anticipated projects, restoration of the fire department antique pump wagon. I'm reaching out to the fire chief because I haven't heard anything back from him. Last I had heard was they were getting just a quote for what it would cost. Additional pickleball courts. Pat, I brought your suggestion. Well, you brought it up at the last meeting, and CPC talked at length about it. I brought the comments back to the Parks and Rec meeting. We're putting together a master plan of projects coming up that we'd like to see done. Also talking about trying to get more money just in the Parks and Rec budget itself. So I don't know where pickleball courts stand. We talked about, I think, Pat, you had mentioned the basketball courts at Scotland, or it might have been basketball courts at Legion.
I mean, they're both bad, so.
Yeah. And I brought the comments back. We talked about different things that needed to be done, different fields worked on, that might take precedent over the pickleball courts. But I do want to thank this committee for talking at length about Parks and Rec at our July meeting. I know it wasn't a Parks and Rec meeting, but it was great comments, and I did bring them back, and the Parks and Rec appreciated the comments. Policies and procedures. I think we just added a couple. Carlton, you
Yeah,
added something else to that recently. That's like every other week Carlton's telling me he added something to it.
Well, one of the things we added that, and I don't want to go over it tonight because it's running late. But one of the things we added was the process for closing projects. You know, one of the things I still have to add is if a project spends all of its money, it automatically closes. But otherwise, we have to go through a process of voting, et cetera. And so I put that in there. But what I want to do is sometime if we have a meeting that's supposedly a small agenda, would walk everybody through the changes so we can vote and accept it.
Okay, good. Thank you. What I would like to see done is when I first started on CPC, every project we had a liaison. That person met with, an example, I was the liaison for the fencing around the Mount Prospect Cemetery. As the invoices came in, I talked to the one that was the head of that project, not CPC, the applicant, and would look at bills. I would actually submit the invoices. Then we had a treasurer, so we would submit them to the treasurer, who would submit them. In a case like I'm going to suggest, you could get the bills and submit them to me to submit them for payment. But I would like to see every project we do have a liaison. So that person is responsible for updates, information, any questions that come about. I don't know when we stopped doing that. But as I said, when I was first on CPC, every project had a liaison. just looking for your thoughts on that. And we can go back and retro assign liaisons or just for every project forthcoming. See that it has a liaison. Thoughts? Anybody?
If it makes the process easier, more complete, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, good.
Have
And I
one
think it-
person you can turn to and say, hey, what's going on with this and that, and where's the paperwork for whatever we need? And that person will be responsible for that committee.
Good. I think so too. I agree. Anybody else? Carlton, Pat, Harry, Jeff?
I'm fine with it, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so we can keep that in mind for future projects.
I will say, I think the policies and procedures document actually has that in it right now. That's another thing I need to check, but we need to actually go through it.
Good. And I think thinking about the policies and procedures, I think it does, but it's something that we haven't been following our own policies and procedures, but it hasn't really been voted yet. Okay, other old business? Okay, hearing none. New business, we talked about the senior center. Other new business?
Well, no, we didn't talk about the annual public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped over
Yeah,
that.
so,
I'm
and
sorry.
we need to take a vote on this one.
Thank you.
So-
I jumped
So
right
the
over.
thought here is that we need to start the process now to get a consultant on board to update our 5-year plan beginning next spring. We have gone through a process of reaching out to some people with a very defined scope. We've gotten a budgeting estimate back. And what we need to do now is to vote tonight, do a motion to vote tonight for the town manager to proceed with procuring a consultant to update the FY 25 to 30 plan. And if that's okay, that would be my motion.
Mhm. Good. So you're motioning that, Carlton?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the vote,
Um,
it's just to repeat the motion. The motion is to authorize the town manager to begin the process of acquiring a consultant to update the the next CPC 5-year plan.
I'll second that, Harry.
Okay, hold on. I'm just writing. Then I go back to the recording anyways. Okay, so that was Carlton and Harry. Any discussion? As Carlton said, we need to get it started. We know of one consultant that does that work. It's a very limited thing for consultants, but the coalition has given us a couple other names that might be willing to bid on it. Okay, any other?
You know, I will say the reason we did the budgeting estimate was so we knew how we need to go through a procurement. If it was less than a certain amount of money, it's a different process than if it's over a certain amount of money. So this will have to be a full bid process because the estimate is pretty significant. And we
Right.
would intend to have it to come out of the admin fund.
Okay, other discussion on that? Hearing none.
No,
Maureen
no,
does. Maureen.
I'm trying. Just curious, because I don't think I've been through this, is that where does the funding come for paying for this consultant to do with
Our-
this?
It would
Yep,
come out of
our-
our administrative funds.
That's what I was, okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep, and as Carlton said, the quote is significant.
Don't talk about the dollar amount.
Okay, other comments, questions, discussion? Okay, roll call. Gina, myself, yes. Carlton,
Yes,
Maureen,
Yes,
Pat,
Yes,
Harry,
yes,
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, great, passed unanimously. Thank you, Captain, for catching that. For some reason, I jumped right over it. I can't read the list that's in front of me. Okay, down to new business, other new business. Committee liaison reports. For Parks and Rec, I kind of already gave a report on that. Does anybody have anything else from their committees? just-
it's sort of from, I guess it would be sort of from, the open spaces that they're continuing with they're gonna start to work, I think, fairly soon. Everything's been approved for, the trail that's going to go to Wyman Meadows and off into towards the river with, oh shoot, the name just went out of my head. Wildlands Trust, with Wildlands Trust, so that's
Oh,
been,
neat.
and,
good.
I think they're going to start this fall, I think. I'm not sure exactly the date, but that's all.
Good.
hey,
Thank
this
you.
Carlton, could I ask a question? Maureen, do you
Yep.
have, is the open space looking at any other parcels, that kind of thing, that we may get involved with? Other conservation?
They're trying to do a study about how many open parcels we have and where they are, and are they connected and that sort of thing. So they are going through that, if that's what you're referring to.
Who's they?
There's a subcommittee on our committee. A few of the members have gotten together. Is it 61, something 61,
Hey?
I'm sorry, I should have written it down better.
So let me try to summarize. The Open Space Committee is trying to look at where there are properties that could be conserved for open space.
Yeah. And see if they're connected to other ones. So if you have, I don't know, just a space on Bedford Street that's connected to another space on High Street, how can you connect them? Or can you can you not? That sort of thing.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome.
And I'm glad to hear that Wyman's Meadow is moving along too.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I think I interrupted somebody. Pat, Harry, Jeff, did I interrupt any of you? Guess not. Carlton, did I interrupt you?
No, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm hearing things. Okay, anybody else? Pat, Harry, Jeff? Committee reports, anything?
I'm going to ask the same thing, question to Jeffrey. What, the Historical Commission, are you guys evaluating any historic properties, that kind of thing, for potential preservation, restoration?
Well, we didn't have a meeting this month, but last month we had we voted to proceed with a demolition delay hearing for 596 Main Street.
Oh, I know what that one is.
Okay, no, that one. What about the Center Street one? Is that historic?
That's 357 Center Street.
Right.
We were supposed to set a date for that, but I have to get in touch with David and see what happened, because I missed a couple meetings last month.
Okay.
There is activity on that property, but I'm not sure if it's taking the house down. I don't think they
Yeah,
can
it
yet.
looks like it was just taking trees down or something when I went by the other day. Okay, good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Uh, Pat or Harry, anything to add for planning board or Concom?
Not at this point, nope.
Okay, Harry, thanks, Pat. Harry?
I just got the meeting agenda this morning. I haven't really gone over it. We've got probably, I know we have one state project that's gotta be continued. No, not continued. It's a motion to keep it going. It's every 3 years it goes through. And then I think we had 2 or 3 items that were continued to this meeting tomorrow night, so
Okay,
it's basically it's a short meeting.
So
Okay.
Harry, I think Gina mentioned it before, but in our conversation with Michael yesterday, the town manager, there was some indication of if the Hanson Farm thing goes forward and the conservation restriction could be co-brokered or co-held by Wildlands Trust and the town's Concom Commission. That's just FYI.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that's all of us. Upcoming events, I mentioned the McAllen School grand opening on September 21st at 11 o'clock. I believe our invitation will be going out, but just in case it doesn't, if folks can go. Next meeting date is September 27th at 6:30. I mentioned it earlier, I won't be here, so Carlton's in charge. It's all him
Trouble.
for that one.
When do you leave so we can work on the agenda if possible?
Yeah, I was thinking of that today. I'll talk to you before I
Thank you.
go. Yep. And if there's nothing else, we can adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay. I always ask discussion for this, but nobody ever wants to discuss.
Not required.
I know it's not required. Okay, roll call. Gina, yes. Carlton,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
and Harry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you everybody for being here so we adjourned at 7:54. Wasn't too bad.
Good night.
Okay,
night.
good night, everybody. Thank you.